Yo, what's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. It's time to talk about these Miami Heat. Let me just be clear. I've always been a big fan of the Miami Heat. I love what they did in the draft, in the offseason, the depth, the talent, the culture. I was a little disappointed that Damian Lillard did not go there, but something that I said right after was that it may have been a blessing in disguise. Because of the amount of depth they were able to return in spite of losing two of their primary backcourt members in Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times people think about teams that are contenders in terms of talent, in terms of size, in terms of MVPs. But the Miami Heat have always built their contending teams based around a culture and really kind of two guys that were able to be the front runners for giving them a shot against just about anybody. And that's been Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Now, both of them have always had their flaws. Always. A lack of offensive production, especially volume offensive production throughout the regular season, has always been an issue. But their defense, their culture, has always been able to sustain them. But one thing that used to always bite them in the behind is the lack of depth. We all knew Jimmy Butler was going to miss a bunch of games, at least 20-some-odd games every single season. Bam was going to play, but couldn't necessarily be relied upon to be a number one scoring option. And so when Jimmy was out, they were going to drop some games. And many times we saw how much it would cost them. Last season, they went into the playoffs, I believe, as a number 8 seed or like a play-in. They were a play-in team, actually. And they ended up in the NBA Finals. But the thing is that they were able to count on guys stepping up, and that's a part of their culture. But what we saw the season beforehand was when they were healthy, they were the number 2 seed in the East. Or I believe they were the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And what this reminded us of is when they are healthy, they can beat anybody. And because of the culture, they're going to be a tough out against just about any team. You have to realize, like, a lot of these teams don't consistently play hard. They don't consistently play defense. They don't consistently rotate. They don't consistently demand of their players from top to bottom to play at a high level, to be prepared, to be in shape, and to give 100% effort every single time they're out on the court. And so as a result, if you have a team that does, you can kind of get by and beat the majority of teams or have a chance to at least half the games of the season. And that allows you to be positioned to make the playoffs almost every single year. Shout out to the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau, right? They kind of get this trick. But this is what's different about this team this year. And I want to point this out in this video. One, the drafting of Jaime Jaquez Jr. Has been a godsend. I call him the Latin Jimmy Butler. He is 6'7", 6'8", physical, offensive and defensive player who relies upon pump fakes, mid-range shooting, is a really effective and efficient playmaker and facilitator. Really good high skill set, meaning ball handling, passing, shooting. He's able to rebound at a high level for his position, and he's a dog defender. 100% Heat culture kind of guy. But the beautiful part about it is he actually almost replicates what Jimmy Butler does. He's not the same explosive athlete, nowhere near. But the skill set and the physicality and the temperament and the ability to get it done in the way that Jimmy does, Jaime Jaquez is able to do. And so having that type of depth, specifically in the skill set that Jimmy brings, has allowed them early on in this season to win and gut out games that Jimmy Butler has missed. Now, to continue to some other surprises, Duncan Robinson has, I'm not going to say he's revamped his game because I think we saw a little bit of this coming last season. But he has developed the ability not just to put the ball on the floor, not just to maybe do a little bit of passing or facilitating, but he has developed his game to be an effective shot creator, knowing that his deadly three-point shot that he's able to hit from far beyond the three-point line, forces defenders to come far out. He realized that it completely opens up his game to be able to drive to the basket. He can pull up from mid-range. He can finish at the rim now with both hands and in versatile ways. And he can make a solid kick-out pass, which makes him an effective playmaker. When you have a 6'8" Duncan Robinson and a 6'8" Jaime Jaquez and a 6'8" Jimmy Butler, who are all able to do a bunch of these different things, it begins to change the shape of this team. Yes, they are still pretty small when it comes to the front court because Bam Adebayo is 6'9", close to 6'10" on a good day, right? And, they got Orlando Robinson and Kevin Love, but neither of these guys are expected to necessarily dominate on the interior. And, they got some, I think his name's like Nick Smith Jr., whatever the point guard's name is behind Kyle Lowry, but both are like 6 feet. 6'1" on a good day. And I say on a good day because most of the time they just look small out there, but they're dog defenders. And so really to beat the to beat the Miami Heat, you have to be able to attack them at their weakest positions, which is at the point and on the interior. But because of their depth, they're able to kind of balance out those weaknesses by being able to throw bodies at you. Right, they're able to throw Kyle Lowry. They're able to throw Nick Smith. They're able to throw guys like Josh Richardson, who's about 6'5", 6'6", right, who can play some point guard and defend some points as well. And so when you look at the construction of this team and the depth of this team, it has allowed them to sustain the talent in a way that they haven't had before. On top of that, we look at the offensive production of Bam Adebayo. And Bam Adebayo is one of those guys that I've always kind of lauded for not having more offensive production, for not being somebody who is able to say, hey, if Jimmy's out, you can rely upon me to get you 20. And as a result, it's kind of always had them positioned where they had to depend upon guys who really aren't that reliable or hadn't been that reliable in the past, such as Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, especially in the playoffs when they needed it the most. But seeing Bam Adebayo be so aggressive offensively and consistently producing, scoring 20 points or more almost every single game throughout the early point of this season, it begins to reshape how we see this team and its construction. That they're able to get offensive production from so many different positions at so much depth that now they're able to have a great defense and a highly efficient and effective offense where they can attack your weaknesses from so many different points. And when you have a head coach like Eric Spoelstra, well, that's almost like a kid in the playground. You have so many options to choose from. And so when we're looking at the outlook of this team, I'm extremely optimistic. Now, do I think that they're still going to have a hard time with Boston and with Milwaukee in the playoffs and potentially even Philadelphia? Hell yeah. But that's to be seen. Because at the end of the day, they still have their culture. They still have the history of being able to get past these teams and be able to dominate when it matters the most. Because at the end of the day, the Miami Heat are always built for the playoffs. But as always, I want to know what you all think. Holler at me in the comment section if you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button and subscribe and the bell for notifications. And I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.